Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So South Carolina votes tomorrow. It is the Republican presidential primary out of South Carolina, the first southern state in the Republican primary. And it's usually an early state, and it's a state that Donald Trump kind of used back in 2016 to cement himself as the nominee. And while Donald Trump kind of did that out of the gate with Iowa, Nikki Haley is still very delusional, and she's staying in this race. Every other major candidate has bowed out except for Nikki Haley, and she's clinging on to this delusion. There is no path forward for her. There's really not. And she's not going to win her home state. She's banking on crossover voting, making this close, and she's trying to weaken Donald Trump. That's all this is about. That's all her end game is. She's either delusional or she's trying to stop Donald Trump or both, which kind of is contradictory because it would imply that she doesn't know what she's doing and she knows exactly what she's doing at the same exact time. But I think that Nikki Haley may be somehow correcting that paradox with her very own insanity. She's vowed to stay in the race. We know that Donald Trump is already focusing on Joe Biden and vice versa, and still she's just like sticking around like a fly, basically. And she's like, oh, I'm still here. Oh, Donald, I'm not going to let you get 90% of the vote because I'm having Democrats tell their voters to vote for me in these open primary states, or tell these, independents that vote Democrat all the time to vote for me in these early primary states. It's a massive waste of time, a massive waste of resources. And even though she might get a decent chunk of the vote, let's say she gets in the mid-30s, let's even say she ends up cracking 40, she could get 49.9, so long as Donald Trump has one more vote than her in South Carolina. She's not going to win any delegates. This is a winner-take-all state. The momentum in any situation is going to Donald Trump, even if she overperforms the polls yet again due to excess turnout, excess crossover voting. We'll have to really see what happens. They say turnout's going to be high, but South Carolina as a state, typically you'll see less crossover voting in South Carolina than you would see in a state like New Hampshire, for example, because yes, it's an open primary. No, I don't believe open primaries should really exist, for the record. But still, at the end of the day, you look at South Carolina, it's a very red state compared to New Hampshire. And in terms of the electorate, you don't have a lot of swingy voters that do the whole routine of, oh, I can cross over here to weaken Donald Trump. And South Carolina's Democrats are super majority black, and you don't really see a lot of black leaders coming forward trying to encourage voters in the state to vote for Nikki Haley. You have some activists that are trying to get people to do so, but is it going to be enough to really make a dent? No. So what is she doing? She's sticking around. She's doing this vanity tour. She's going on SNL. They wouldn't let any actual solid Republican on SNL at this point. I mean, Donald Trump hosting it in 2015 is kind of miraculous in retrospect, but they would not let him on today. We know that. But Nikki Haley, she gets to be that token Republican because she criticizes Blumpf. She's weakening the leader of the GOP, the de facto opposition leader in the country. She's getting retweeted by Biden. She's basically throwing Trump under the bus on all of these bogus legal issues. She's siding with the opposition when it comes down to it. What is she exactly trying to do here? Is she planning on running third party or whatever? I don't really believe that she would have that much of a pathway even to, get a whole lot of voters in that situation. How would she impact the race at that point? We could talk about it at another time, but still, either way, you look at the polling, Donald Trump once again is ahead. And because I don't anticipate as much crossover voting, because South Carolina is a state that is very Trump-friendly, they have a very pro-Trump, MAGA, America First governor in Henry McMaster. it really seems as if the state is going to go red. All the surrogates, even the rhinos, arguably, in South Carolina, your Lindsey Grahams, for example, they're endorsing Donald Trump over Nikki Haley because at least they see the writing on the wall. They understand that you're not going to really gain in any way, shape, or form unless you're like planning an exit from the GOP or being one of these like Kinzinger type rhinos. You have nothing to really gain at this point by supporting Haley. The only people that do are these, uniparty donors. But even then, a lot of them have already backed out. And the more she continues to underperform, the more she continues to lose, it's going to be brutal. Michigan is an open primary, but once again, I anticipate Michigan to be absolutely brutal for Nikki Haley. She didn't win any counties in Nevada. She lost to none of these candidates in Nevada. And when it comes down to Michigan, she really doesn't have that much of a pathway at all. Donald Trump possibly could get in the 70s in Michigan. The Super Tuesday states, a lot of those are in the deep south. Some of them are closed primary states as well. In a state like Texas, even where she'll try because, it's an open primary, Texas holds their primary the same day that these congressional primaries are held. So you see very, very minimal crossover voting in a state like Texas compared to what you would anticipate. So on that front, she's not going to really make a dent in Texas. Donald Trump's going to win it by a lot. And even so, even if Haley sticks around and gets 20% of the vote, she doesn't get any delegates. She really doesn't. So even though she's going to try to weaken Trump and make him appear like he's weak or whatever, it hasn't exactly moved the needle, and it won't move the needle. And she's out there saying, Trump lost Iowa with 49% of the vote or whatever, but he got a majority still, had all this money spent against him, and you had poor turnout because of a snowstorm. And Haley got in third place in Iowa. She finished down below Ron DeSantis in the state of Iowa, who ran a notoriously awful presidential campaign. So there's really no justification for Haley's presence in this race. She's losing every single primary. She's not going to win any primary. Her best shot might be Vermont because it's kind of similar to New Hampshire. You have that rhino governor there that is basically backing her, and it is an open primary with a lot of Democrats, and Biden's probably not all that popular among those Democrats in Vermont, even though they'll vote for him in a general, so maybe you could get some crossover there. But still, that's not going to do anything. You'll net, one delegate over Trump at most? Seriously? It's over. It's over. There's no reason for Haley to stick around. There's no reason for her to stay in this race. She does not have a pathway to victory. So I did want to touch base on what I do expect to happen, what my final prediction will be. I will not be streaming the South Carolina primary because I am busy in D.C. I'm going to watch President Donald Trump deliver remarks tomorrow at noon at CPAC. But I will be streaming on Tuesday, however, for the Michigan primary. So just kind of a little bit of a heads up there so people don't really get confused why I'm not streaming. But I do anticipate it to be a resounding victory for Donald Trump. I believe he is going to win. He's going to get in the low 60s. I think Nikki Haley is going to get in the mid to high 30s. And this is only because it's an open primary, crossover voting, whatever, but it's not going to be as much in New Hampshire. But this is Haley's home state, which is crazy. She was governor of South Carolina. You think if she was going to be able to win one state, it would be this, but no. Donald Trump is going to win 80+% of Republicans in that state. And yeah, you have a lot of Democrats who will cross over, but a lot of Democrats in South Carolina still really don't like Nikki Haley, even though she did everything possible as governor to pander to them. You're not going to see crossover voting in ridiculous numbers. I think Trump is probably going to get around, in the mid-60s, maybe you could say 63 is kind of my estimate because, yeah, he's been underperforming some of the polling so far, but I think Haley gets about where her number is, and that's that. And we'll see. It's possible she could get in the higher 30s, closer to 40% if turnout is high enough. Just depends on how many crossover votes that she's able to net, but it's not going to make a difference because the only prediction that really matters is Donald Trump is going to win the state of South Carolina in the primary with its 50 delegates, winner take all. Haley is cooked. She's moved the goalposts. She was saying that she was going to win New Hampshire. Then, we have a respectable second in New Hampshire. Now it's do better in South Carolina than New Hampshire. That's not going to happen. Then it's going to be like, we'll stay until Super Tuesday. We'll protest the RNC or whatever, despite the fact that they're not coronating Trump as the nominee whatsoever. They're really not, but it's apparent that Trump is the nominee, so they're not going to bend over backwards just to waste time and resources, which is probably a good thing that they're doing. So either way, that's the way it is. Donald Trump will defeat Nikki Haley. He will end her career once and for all, but she'll still probably stick around a little bit after that, and we'll see what happens on Super Tuesday. But she really has nothing to lose by staying in, even possibly until the convention. She's going to get a diminishing share of the vote. But hey, so long as you can weaken Blumph, right, and maybe make your exit plan from the GOP. As I anticipated years ago, even when she was working for Donald Trump, I said she's a rhino. Some people at the time didn't exactly believe me, but I feel vindicated on that front. But either way, Trump's going to win by like 25 points tomorrow night. So do watch out for that. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.